3 rounds to go till the finals. Now we move on to the round 21, 2016 episode of soon-to-be Lachie Does Footy, aka the soon-to-be retiring Lachie's weekly footy roundup. Anyways, now we move on to we go to the predictions, the ladder, and after predictions we got the results, and before predictions we got results and ladder of round 20. Anyways, let's get on with it. In round 20, Richmond and Collingwood at the MCG. Well, Collingwood got off to a great start in the first quarter. Richmond came back a bit and led at half time, and they had the lead until, well, Collingwood took the lead for a little bit in the last quarter before the Tigers got up to win by 15 points. Sean Grigg played really good for Richmond in this game. 26 disposals, 14 marks and a goal and 6 tackles. Collingwood's best was Adam Treloar with 24 disposals and 9 tackles. In the goal kicking, Jack Riewoldt kicked 4 and Ty Vickery with 2 for Richmond, while Mason Cox and James Aish with 2 each for Collingwood. Looks like Collingwood's this game would be known as pretty much the Lachlan Brown Derby. Collingwood's finals chances, well, they're pretty much gone. Anyway, Sydney versus Port Adelaide at the SCG. It took Port till the 10-minute mark of the second quarter to finally register their first goal. They were an embarrassment this game against the Swans. Sydney had kicked straight, they would have won by 100 points. They kicked 6-5 in the opening quarter. Tom Mitchell had a great game for the Swans. 32 disposals, 7 tackles and a goal. Dan Hanbury with 36 disposals, 4 tackles, 4 clearances and a goal. Luke Parker with another 39 disposals and 11 clearances. Isaac Heaney with 25 disposals, 5 tackles and 2 goals. Port Adelaide's best this game was Ollie Wines with 32 disposals and 11 clearances himself. Not one Port Adelaide player was multiple goal kicker that game. Gary Rowan, Xavier Richards, Isaac Heaney and Buddy Franklin are the only multiple goal kickers for Sydney. Now we move on to the next game. What an upset. Melbourne and Hawthorn at the MCG. This is Melbourne's first win over Hawthorn in God knows how long. It's been, last time it happened was pretty much 2006. Well, looks like Melbourne's finals hopes are pretty much back on track. What a last quarter that was for the Demons. Their best player was Max Gawn with 41 hitouts, 16 disposals, 11 marks and a goal. Dom Tyson had a great game with 30 disposals, 487 metres gained and 2 goals. Hawthorn's best was Cyril Rioli with 15 disposals, 12 tackles and 4 goals. Multiple goal kickers that game. Jack Watts with 3, Sam Wiedemann 2 on debut, Dom Tyson with 2 and Tom Bug with 2. As Hawthorn had a bug problem. For Hawthorn, Isaac Smith, Jack Gunston and Jono Segler with 2 each. As we all knew, the fade out was coming for Hawthorn. Gold Coast versus GWS at Metricon Stadium. Gold Coast nearly got it done against the Giants, but Toby Green and Jeremy Cameron would win the Expansion Cup. At one stage, with 8 minutes gone in the last quarter, it looked like the Gold Coast Suns had the match all but won. It was highway robbery at Metricon. Stephen May had a great game in defence with 27 disposals, 14 marks. Jared Garlett had a good game, meanwhile, for the Suns. 19 disposals, 9 tackles and a goal. GWS's best was Tom Scully with 28 disposals, 8 tackles and 7 clearances. Multiple goal kickers. Tom Lynch with 4 for the Suns. Jeremy Cameron with 4 for the Giants. Peter Wright and Brandon Matera with 2 each. And Ryan Davis 2 each for the Suns. Jono Patton, Stevie J and Toby Green with 2 each for GWS. Western Bulldogs versus the Roos at Etihad Stadium. Marcus Bontempelli had a pretty good game for the Dogs. 19 disposals, 9 tackles, 8 marks and a goal. North's best was Todd Goldstein with a goal, 19 disposals and 35 hitouts. And for the first time in 2016, there are no multiple goal kickers to report in this match. It was a bit of a boring contest. Saturday night football in round 20. Adelaide and Brisbane at Adelaide Oval. Well, the Crows have kicked 27 goals, 15. 177. Suppose if the Crows had somehow kicked straight. Well, with the 44 scoring shots, 42 scoring shots. If they kicked straight, it probably would have been maybe 35 goals, 7. Um, 34. It would have been 217. Would have been a lot worse for the Lions. The only good players for Brisbane were Tom Rockcliffe and Ryan Bastanak. They've combined for 252 points in fantasy and kicked a goal. Crows best. Well, anyways, let's go straight to the multiple goal kickers. Tom Lynch and Tex Walker and Eddie Betts with 4 each for the Crows. Jenkins with 3. Sloan with 2. Alice Yarman with 2. Reece Matheson is Brisbane's only multiple goal kicker. That was a disaster for Brisbane. Anyways, now we move on to Sunday. Carlton and St Kilda at the MCG. Well, the Blues would lose by 71 points. Kate Simpson had a great game, though, with 39 disposals and 10 marks. Paddy Cripps with 32 disposals, 6 clearances, 6 tackles and 2 goals. This game would prove to be the last games for Andrew Walker and Michael Jamison in a Carlton shirt. Tim Membry kicked 5 for the Saints. Josh Bruce with 4 and Jack Billings with 2. For the multiple goal kickers for Carlton, Paddy Cripps with 2. And, well, Zach Tui's actually put himself on the market after this game. 25 disposals and 3 goals. Better watch for him, Geelong. He's going to be a pretty good player. He'll be a really good player when he joins the Cats. Anyway, second to last game of the round. Geelong and Essendon at Etihad Stadium. The Cats got up by 66 points. Well, that's 17 losses in a row for Essendon. Mitch Brown was Essendon's best in this game with 25 disposals and 18 marks against his old side. Corey Enright played pretty good in this game. 29 disposals, 10 marks and 3 tackles. For the goal kickers, Tom Hawkins with 3, Josh Cowan 2, Nakia Cockatoo 2, Josh Caddy 2. And I think that's about it to report, as there's no multiple goal kickers for Essendon. Fremantle and West Coast at Subiaco Oval. The Dockers led for a little bit in the first half, and then it's all West Coast Eagles, winning by 46 points. West Coast best player in this game was Chris Maston with 33 disposals and 739 metres gained. Freo's best, and Josh Kennedy with 13 disposals, 8 marks and 7 goals. While Freo's best was actually Lee Spur. 22 disposals, 10 marks, and 203 tackles. Multiple goal kickers. Josh Kennedy with 7. Mark Lacroix with 3. Namish not mentioned with 3. As for Fremantle, Shane Yarran, Tommy Sheridan, and Matthew Pavlich with 2 each. Now we move on to the ladder after round 20. Well, Hawthorn are still top, even though they had a bit of a slip up against Melbourne. Sydney and Adelaide are moving up the ladder. GWS and Geelong are now in 4th and 5th. The Crows have moved up to 3rd after that percentage booster against the Lions. West 6th, 7th and 8th remain unchanged. St Kilda might be making a bit of a late run for the finals. Port have gone down to 10th. Anyways, the other 8 teams remain unchanged between 11th and 18th. Now we move on to the round 21 predictions. Western Bulldogs and Collingwood at Etihad Stadium. I reckon the Western Bulldogs will get up on Friday night by about 27 points. Brisbane and Carlton at the Gabba. I'm going to have to say Carlton by about 60 points. It's only the Brisbane Lions. Hawthorn and North Melbourne at the MCG. I'm going with the Hawkers by 29. GWS and West Coast at Spotless Stadium in Sydney. I got a feeling, I reckon the Giants will get it done by 1 point. Saints and Sydney at Etihad. I'm going with I reckon the Swans by 24, about 60 points. Port Adelaide and Melbourne at Adelaide Oval. Well, this is the same night as Sound of Music tribute concerts at Adelaide's Adelaide Festival Theatre. Well, I reckon the Sound of Music will be hearing at Adelaide Oval that night is Melbourne winning by 40 points. Essendon and Gold Coast at Etihad Stadium. I reckon the Gold Coast Suns will win by 50 points. Richmond and Geelong at the MCG. I got a feeling, I reckon the Cats will get up by 21. Last game of the round, we go to Perth. Fremantle and Adelaide at Subiaco Oval. I reckon the Crows will get up by 84. That's it for round 21, and we got 2 rounds to go. Anyways, before we wrap it up, well, we all knew Xavier Ellis is also retired, effective immediately. And we'll see you for the next episode in round 22.